My beloved child, I want you to listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you is not meant for the rushing world, but for your heart that has carried both years and questions. You have looked back on your life and wondered why some doors closed before you could step through them, why some prayers took decades to unfold, and why some desires seemed to remain unanswered. Yet I tell you today, nothing was wasted, and nothing slipped through my hands. My timing is sacred, perfect, and eternal. You measure time by clocks and calendars, by birthdays and anniversaries, by the turning of seasons and the graying of hair. But I do not measure as you measure. I do not live by the limitations of hours or the boundaries of years. My timing flows from eternity, where every detail of your life is already known, woven together in a masterpiece that you cannot yet see in full. What feels to you like delay is, in truth, preparation. What feels like silence is, in truth, the crafting of something greater than you could imagine. Think back to moments in your life when you longed for something with all your heart. Perhaps it was healing, perhaps it was companionship, perhaps it was a dream that kept you awake at night. At the time, you wondered why I did not place it swiftly into your hands. But now, with years behind you, can you not see how my delay protected you? How my patience was guarding you from harm or lifting you toward something better? I am not cruel, and I do not tease my children. If I withhold, it is because my love is shaping the timing. If I delay, it is because I am aligning circumstances not just for your moment, but for generations that will come after you. I know that waiting has been one of the hardest lessons of your journey. You live in a world that hurries, that demands instant answers, that prizes quick results. But my kingdom does not bow to the rushing of men. My kingdom is like a seed planted in the ground, hidden, unseen, yet swelling with life beneath the soil. Just as a farmer waits patiently for the rains, so must you wait for the unfolding of my plan. Do you not see that even while you waited, I was working? When you thought nothing was happening, roots were growing deeper. When you thought doors were closed forever, I was preparing windows to open at the right moment. When you thought your story was finished, I was writing new chapters with my own hand. Every tear you shed watered the soil of your faith. Every sigh of longing was heard in my courts. Every prayer, even the ones you thought bounced back in silence, was gathered into my heart. My sacred timing does not mean life will always be easy, nor does it mean you will always understand in the moment. But I promise you this. One day, whether in this life or the life beyond, you will see how perfectly the threads were woven. What you called delay, I called protection. What you called waiting, I called preparation. What you called silence, I called love. Remember Abraham, who waited for the child I promised him. Remember Joseph, who endured years in prison before rising to purpose. Remember Moses, who spent decades in the wilderness before leading my people. These were not wasted years, they were shaping years. In the waiting, they learned to depend on me, to trust me, to surrender to my voice. And so have you. My child, I know you sometimes wonder if it is too late. The years weigh heavy, and you ask if you missed your chance, if the season has passed you by. But I tell you, with me, nothing is too late. I am the God who renews, who restores, who makes old bones live again, who brings blossoms from dry ground. Your age is not a barrier to me. Your weakness is not a hindrance. What I have promised, I am faithful to complete, no matter how many years it takes. Do not despise the waiting. Instead, let it soften your heart. Let it deepen your trust. Let it teach you to lean into my presence more than into outcomes. For the true gift of my timing is not simply what I bring to you, but what I make of you while you wait. Waiting molds your patience, strengthens your faith, and clears away the clutter of lesser desires. It teaches you to look beyond the temporary and fix your gaze upon the eternal. You may feel that your best days are behind you, but I tell you, your best days are those lived close to me, regardless of age or circumstance. The world may count years and call them decline, but I count faith and call it glory. Even as your body slows, your spirit can soar higher. Even as your strength wanes, your prayers can shake the heavens. Even as your eyes grow dim, your vision of me can grow brighter. So trust my timing, beloved. Trust that every delay has been wrapped in my wisdom. Trust that every unanswered question rests in my care. Trust that every longing you have carried has been heard. And when you doubt, remember my Son, who entered the world at just the right time, not a moment too soon, nor a moment too late. The Savior came not by human schedule, but by divine appointment, proving once and for all that my timing is never flawed. I am asking you today to release the burden of why not yet. Lay down the weight of questioning my pace. Instead, rest in my heart. Believe that I am not only guiding your steps, but also the seasons in which those steps unfold. For I am not only the Lord of your destination, I am also the Lord of your timing. My child, you are safe in my hands. You are held in the rhythm of my eternal clock, a rhythm that never misses a beat. You may not always understand, but you can always trust. And one day you will look back, not with regret, but with awe, and see that my timing was not only perfect, it was the greatest gift I could give you. So be still in the waiting. Let hope rise again, not as a fragile wish, but as a steady anchor. For I am not finished with you yet. The work I began in you, I will surely bring to completion, in my time, in my way, and for my glory. My beloved child, let us speak now of hope, for I see how your heart has wrestled with it across the years. You have hoped for many things in your lifetime, some fulfilled, some delayed, some left unanswered in ways you still do not understand. You have seen how fragile human hope can be, how quickly it rises with excitement, and just as quickly it fades when disappointment comes. Yet what I give you is not that kind of hope. My hope is not a flicker in the dark, but a steady flame that cannot be quenched. My hope is not a fragile wish that may or may not come true, but a sure anchor that holds firm, no matter the storm. You see, the world has taught you to use the word hope as though it were nothing more than a dream or a desire. People say, I hope the weather is good tomorrow, or I hope this problem goes away, with no certainty behind the words. This kind of hope depends on chance, on luck, on the shifting winds of circumstance. But the hope I speak of, the hope I place within your soul, is different. It is not built on uncertainty, but on my eternal promises. It is not dependent on what you see, but on who I am. I want you to remember this truth. My hope is anchored in me, and I do not change. I do not lie. I do not fail. My promises do not expire with time, nor do they crumble under the weight of life's trials. My hope is secure, not because of your strength to hold on to it, but because of my strength to uphold you. Even when your grip feels weak, even when your faith feels fragile, my hope holds steady, tethering you to me when everything else threatens to sweep you away. Think of a ship at sea. When the winds howl and the waves rise, the anchor is what keeps the vessel from drifting into danger. Without an anchor, the ship is at the mercy of the storm. So too is your life. Without hope in me, you are tossed by every wave of worry, every storm of sorrow, every current of doubt. But with my hope, you remain steady. The storm may rage, but you will not be lost, for you are anchored in the eternal rock that cannot be moved. My child, I know you have seen storms. You have endured seasons of loss, grief, and heartache. You have faced nights when the tears would not stop, and mornings when you wondered how to rise again. You have felt the ache of dreams unfulfilled, the weight of prayers that seemed unanswered, the loneliness of waiting. Yet even in those seasons, my hope has never left you. For it is not a fragile wish that disappears with sorrow, but a living presence placed within you by my Spirit. You may not always feel it, but it is there, steady and unshakable, because it flows not from you, but from me. I ask you now to let your heart rest in this kind of hope. Do not tie your hope to circumstances that shift with the wind. Do not anchor it to people who, though they may love you, cannot carry the weight of eternity. Do not set it in possessions, achievements, or even health, for all these are temporary. Instead, anchor your hope in me alone, for I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. I am the God who sees beyond your years, beyond your days, beyond even this life. I want you to know this truth. Even when your body grows frail, even when earthly days grow shorter, your hope in me grows stronger. For my hope is eternal. It does not end at the grave. It carries you through death into everlasting life. It assures you that there is more ahead than what you leave behind. This is why you need not fear the future, for your future is safe in my hands. Do not confuse waiting with hopelessness. Waiting may be slow, but hope remains alive. The seed of hope planted in your heart has roots that dig deep into eternity. Even when you cannot see the fruit above the soil, know that life is pulsing below, preparing to break forth in my time. I am faithful to complete what I begin. If you are still breathing, I am still working. If your heart is still beating, my hope is still growing within you. Let me remind you of this. Hope is not a denial of reality. I do not ask you to pretend your pain does not exist, or to close your eyes to your struggles. No, my child, hope looks reality in the face and still declares, "My God is greater." Hope is not blind. It sees the storm, but it also sees the Savior walking upon the waves. Hope hears the report of illness, but it also hears my whisper that I am the healer of body and soul. Hope acknowledges grief, but it also clings to the promise that joy comes in the morning. When your heart grows weary, return to this anchor. When doubts crowd your mind, remind yourself that I am faithful. When fear rises, remember that my promises are yes and amen. And when you feel alone, remember that my hope binds you to me with cords that cannot be broken. Hope, my beloved, is the reason you can keep walking when the path is unclear. Hope is the reason you can keep praying when the answer seems delayed. Hope is the reason you can keep trusting when you do not yet understand. And hope is the reason that, even in the sunset years of life, you can still look forward with expectation rather than backward with regret. You may think your best days are behind you, but I tell you, the fullness of your hope lies ahead. For the day is coming when every tear will be wiped away, when every waiting will be answered, when every longing will be fulfilled. That day will not come too soon nor too late, but right on time, according to my perfect plan. Until then, let hope be your anchor. Let it hold you steady when storms rage. Let it carry you when your strength wanes. Let it guide you safely into my eternal harbor. So, my child, release the fragile wishes that come and go with the winds of circumstance. Take hold of the anchor I offer you. It is strong, it is sure, it will not fail. Let hope rise again in your heart, not as a fleeting desire, but as a steady anchor for your soul. For I am your God, your refuge, your strength, and your everlasting hope. My beloved child, today I want to teach you about waiting, not as the world defines it, but as I shape it. To many, waiting feels like wasted time, an empty pause, a delay between what is longed for and what is received. But I tell you this, in my kingdom, waiting is not wasted. Waiting is working. Waiting is shaping. Waiting is growing. You may feel that you have spent much of your life waiting for prayers to be answered, waiting for healing, waiting for reconciliation, waiting for clarity, waiting for promises to unfold. At times, this waiting may have felt like a burden you carried through the years, a weight that slowed your steps and tested your endurance. Yet I want you to see it through my eyes. Every moment of waiting has been soil in which I have planted growth within you. Every delay has been a sacred classroom where your faith has been refined, where your spirit has been stretched, where your roots have reached deeper into me. Consider the seed in the ground. When it is buried beneath the soil, it appears to be still, lifeless, forgotten. Days pass, weeks pass, and nothing seems to happen. Yet within the darkness, hidden from sight, the seed is changing. It is breaking open, sending roots downward, preparing to push upward toward the light. What looks like waiting is actually becoming. So it is with you. In the seasons when you felt buried in silence, I was not ignoring you. I was transforming you. Waiting teaches you what instant answers never could. If I were to hand you every desire the moment you asked, your faith would remain shallow, your endurance weak, your trust untested. But in the waiting, you have learned patience. You have learned to pray not only for outcomes, but for strength. You have learned to lean on me, not just on what I give. You have discovered that my presence is your true treasure, more precious than any gift I could place in your hands. I know waiting has been hard. There were nights when you asked, "Lord, have you forgotten me?" There were mornings when you wondered if hope was foolish. But even in those moments, I was near. I was not absent from your waiting. I was the very one sustaining you in it. Do you not see how much you have grown? The very faith that has carried you through the years has been watered by seasons of delay. The wisdom you now hold was birthed in the soil of waiting. The tenderness of your prayers, the compassion you show others, the strength you carry quietly within. All of it was shaped by the long seasons where you leaned on me more than on answers. My child, do not despise the waiting. It is not punishment. It is preparation. It is not abandonment. It is intimacy. For in the waiting, you have found me. You have discovered that I am not only the God who delivers answers, but the God who walks beside you in the delay. Think of Moses, who waited 40 years in the desert before leading my people. Think of Joseph, who endured years of imprisonment before stepping into his purpose. Think of Hannah, who wept and prayed year after year before holding the child she longed for. Each of them grew in the waiting. Each of them was being prepared for more than they could see. And so it has been with you. Waiting grows humility, for it reminds you that life is not controlled by your timing, but by mine. Waiting grows endurance, for it trains you to keep walking even when answers are slow to come. Waiting grows compassion, for it softens your heart toward others who also struggle. Waiting grows trust, for it teaches you that I am faithful, even when you cannot yet see the fulfillment. These are not small lessons, my child. They are treasures of the soul, eternal riches that cannot be taken from you. You may think of waiting as delay, but I call it growth. You may call it silence, but I call it shaping. You may see nothing happening, but I see roots deepening, character forming, and faith strengthening. Every prayer you whispered in the waiting was not in vain. It became part of your growth. Every tear shed watered your soul, making it tender and fertile ground. Every sigh of longing lifted you closer to me. Nothing was wasted. And let me tell you this: waiting does not mean I am inactive. Even while you waited, I was moving in ways you could not see. I was aligning people, arranging circumstances, weaving together details far beyond your understanding. Like a master weaver at the loom, I was pulling threads that seemed random to you. But in my hands, they are forming a tapestry of beauty and purpose. Beloved, I know there are times when you think you have waited too long, that perhaps the answer will never come. But remember this: I am faithful to complete what I begin. If the fulfillment is not yet in your hands, it is not because I have forgotten, it is because I am still working. Sometimes the answer you wait for is not in this life but in the life to come, where every longing will be satisfied, every question answered, every waiting fulfilled in my presence. This too is hope, and this too is growth, to trust me not only for today, but for eternity. So let the waiting shape you, not break you. Let it draw you deeper into me, not away. Let it strengthen your heart rather than harden it. And know this: while you wait, you are not alone. My spirit is within you, breathing peace into your restless soul. My love surrounds you, even when the silence feels heavy. My hands are at work, even when you cannot see. Do not fear that time has passed you by. With me, no waiting is wasted. Every delay is redeemed. Every moment is used. Every season is purposeful. Even now, I am shaping you into the likeness of my Son, who himself waited in the wilderness, waited in obedience, waited through suffering, waited in the grave before rising in glory. If he grew through waiting, how much more will you? My child, waiting is not the absence of growth, it is the soil of it. Trust that the work I began in you is still unfolding. Trust that even now, as you wait, you are being renewed. And when the time comes for the waiting to end, you will see not only the fulfillment of the promise, but also the beauty of the growth that took place along the way. So rest in this truth: you are not stagnant, you are not forgotten, and you are not alone. You are growing in the waiting, and I am with you in every moment of it. My beloved child, I want you to see yourself through my eyes, as a tender plant in the garden of eternity, planted by my hand, nurtured by my care, and tended with wisdom beyond your understanding. From the first breath you drew until this very moment, you have never been outside of my watchful gaze. I am the gardener of your soul, and I do not neglect what I plant. Every season of your life, from your youth to your gray years, has been shaped beneath my careful hand. Consider the garden. Each plant has its own rhythm of growth, its own needs, its own seasons. Some bloom quickly, others take years before their blossoms appear. Some grow tall and strong, others spread quietly across the ground. Each is unique, each is purposeful, and each requires the patient care of the gardener. So it is with you. I do not measure you against another. I do not rush your growth or compare your fruit to your neighbor's. I tend you as you are, with a wisdom that knows exactly what you need. There were times I pruned you, and it was painful. You wondered why I allowed certain relationships to be cut away, why dreams withered, why doors closed. You grieved the loss, not knowing that pruning was my gift to you. For a plant cannot flourish without pruning. Dead branches must be removed so new life may come. Excess growth must be trimmed so the fruit may be sweeter. In the same way, I have pruned your life, not to harm you, but to make room for greater abundance. What you thought was loss was in truth preparation for fruit you could not yet see. There were times I watered you with tears. In seasons of sorrow, you felt drenched in grief, wondering if you would ever rise again. But just as rain nourishes the earth, so your tears nourished your soul. I caught every one of them, and none were wasted. They softened the soil of your heart, making it fertile ground for compassion, wisdom, and deeper faith.
There were times I placed you in the sunlight of my joy, and you flourished. You laughed, you loved, you celebrated blessings that filled your days. In those seasons, you saw my goodness easily. But my care did not stop there, for there were also times I allowed the chill of shadow when you felt hidden, unseen, overlooked. Those were not moments of abandonment, but moments of rest. Even the soil must lie fallow to regain its strength. Even plants must rest in shadow before blooming again. My child, you are not the gardener. You cannot see all that I am cultivating. You may wonder why growth feels slow, why fruit seems late, why certain parts of your life have not turned out as you imagined. But trust this, the gardener knows what the plant does not. I see the whole field, the whole season, the whole harvest. You see only a moment. That is why I ask you to trust me, even when you do not understand. I know that with age you sometimes look at your life and ask if you have borne enough fruit. You wonder if you did enough, prayed enough, served enough. But hear me clearly. I am not tallying your worth by numbers or achievements. I measure fruit differently than the world does. The kindness you showed in silence, the prayers you whispered when no one saw, the love you offered to those who could not repay you. These are fruits more precious than gold. Nothing done in my name is ever wasted, even if the world never notices. Trust also that your life is not finished bearing fruit. Do not think that because your body grows weaker, your spirit has ceased to bloom. In the later seasons of life, the fruit often becomes sweeter, richer, more nourishing. A young plant may bear quickly, but the fruit of an old tree carries depth that only years of sun, storm, and pruning can produce. So it is with you. Your prayers now carry weight. Your wisdom now feeds others. Your quiet endurance shines as testimony. Even in stillness, you are fruitful in my garden. And hear this truth. When the time comes for you to leave this earthly garden, your roots will not be cut away but transplanted into the eternal garden of my presence. There you will flourish forever, bearing fruit that does not wither, living in light that never fades. The gardener's work does not end with death. It is perfected beyond it. So do not fear my hand upon your life. Do not resist my pruning, my watering, my shaping. Trust that I know what I am doing. Trust that I see the outcome you cannot. Trust that I am good, and my intentions towards you are always love. When doubts creep in, remember my son who said, I am the vine, you are the branches. As long as you remain in me, you will bear fruit. The vine supplies the life, the branch only abides. You are not asked to force your growth, only to remain connected to me. And in your abiding, the gardener ensures that fruit will come in its season. Beloved, do not compare your season to another's. Do not think your blossoms too small or your harvest too late. I tend each soul with patience, and I know the rhythm of each heart. What matters is not the speed of your growth, but the faithfulness of your abiding. If you remain in me, you are flourishing, whether you see it or not. So rest in my care. Trust the gardener's hand. Allow me to prune, to water, to shield, to shine. Believe that your life is not random but cultivated. Believe that you are not forgotten but cherished. Believe that the harvest I am bringing from your life is beautiful in ways you cannot yet see. And when the day comes that you stand before me, you will see the garden in full. You will see the fruit of your prayers, the blossoms of your sacrifices, the beauty of your endurance. You will see how every season, even the painful ones, contributed to the glory of the harvest. And you will rejoice, knowing that the gardener never left you, never failed you, and never wasted a single moment of your growth. So, trust me, my child. Trust my process. Trust my heart, for I am your gardener, and I will not forsake the work of my hands.